All right, let's dive right in. If you're a GCSE student currently prepping for your religious studies exams, you are in exactly the right place. In this revision explainer, we're going to totally unpack Judaism's perspective on human nature, the origins of evil, and how we even begin to make sense of suffering. Now, I know this is a massive topic on your syllabus, but we're going to break it down piece by piece so it's crystal clear and actually sticks in your memory. So grab your notebooks and let's get to it.
Think about this for a second. Are we actually born bad? It's a pretty heavy question, right? When a human being first enters the world, do they bring some kind of inherent, built-in evil with them? Well, different traditions handle this in wildly different ways. But today, we're zeroing in on the uniquely empowering Jewish perspective on morality. And to really get it, we have to start at the very beginning, how Judaism views our absolute starting point in life.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Human nature and choice. 2. The 10 days of returning. 3. God's care and rescue. And 4. The origins of suffering.
Starting off with Section 1, Human Nature and Choice, the blank slate versus original sin.
Now, for your exams, there is a massive contrast you absolutely have to nail. Unlike a lot of other religious traditions, Judaism flat out rejects the idea of original sin. They literally do not believe that humans inherit some ancient corrupted nature from birth. Scratch that completely. Instead, Judaism teaches that God gives us total free will. You're born with a completely clean slate. You have the profound ability, and honestly the heavy responsibility, to choose your own path. You decide between good and evil. To really explain this freedom, you've got to memorize the specific Hebrew term, Yetzer Hatav. Basically, this translates to our innate ability, or our natural inclination, to choose to do good. It's like that built-in moral compass God gives you, that little voice pulling you toward kindness, justice, and doing the right thing. It's the absolute foundation of making positive choices. But, choice wouldn't really be choice if there were only one option, right? So we have the flip side, Yetzer Hara. This is the innate human inclination to choose evil. Now, it's super important to catch this nuance. Having the Yetzer Hara doesn't mean you are evil. It just means you have the capacity to be selfish or destructive. The Jewish teaching here is that while we have total freedom, we're supposed to actively master that Yetzer Hara. We have to fight that selfish pull and stay close to God. And since God sees and knows everything, literally every choice we make is on the radar.
So what happens when we mess up? When we misuse that free will and give in to the Yetzer Hara, there are real-world consequences. Judaism teaches that a huge chunk of the evil and suffering we see around us comes directly from freely chosen human acts. It is completely man-made. It's the direct fallout of humans deciding to turn away from what's good. That puts a tremendous amount of moral responsibility squarely on our shoulders.
Let's move on to Section 2, the 10 days of returning, a time for atonement. Because we have free will, we're definitely going to make mistakes, but there is a specific, really beautiful window for fixing them. It kicks off on day 1 with Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. That starts the 10 days of returning. During this very sacred window, Jews actively reflect, apologize, and do the hard work of making up for their sins. The window finally closes on the 10th day with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. It's this incredibly structured time dedicated entirely to repairing the damage caused by the Yetzer Hara and getting back on track. Which brings us to Section 3, God's care and rescue, the source of all life.
A really crucial point to lock in for your exam is that Judaism is strictly monotheistic, meaning there is no opposite force to God. There's no equal and opposite devil figure battling God for control of the universe. No way! God is entirely supreme. Plus, God is the literal source of all life. And honestly, perhaps the most comforting part for anyone going through a hard time is the belief that God deeply cares for his creation. This isn't some distant clockmaker who wound up the universe and walked away. God is an active, caring presence.
Want a concrete example of that care? Look right at the Torah. When the Israelites were suffering unimaginably under the horrific, man-made evil of slavery in Egypt, God didn't just sit back and watch from the clouds. He actively intervened. He helped them escape. For Jewish people, this historical rescue is the ultimate, rock-solid proof of God's enduring care, especially when humans are facing profound suffering. And that leads us to our final part, Section 4, the origins of suffering, making sense of the unexplained. So here's the million-dollar theological question. If God is the ultimate source of life, and he cares for us, where does all the suffering actually come from?
Judaism tackles this with a lot of nuance. As we talked about, they recognize suffering can absolutely be man-made. But what about natural suffering? Things like earthquakes or diseases that humans didn't cause? Well, theologically, it's believed that sometimes suffering can be a punishment. Other times, it's viewed as a test of faith, challenging you to stay righteous when things are incredibly tough. And then there is the hardest category of all, the unknown reason.
See, there is this deep tension in Judaism. It's human nature to try and rationalize suffering, right? We want to neatly box it up as a punishment or a test so it makes sense. But Judaism also demands profound humility. It's accepting the really difficult truth that we literally cannot always know the reason for evil and suffering. We don't have the mind of God. Sometimes, despite our absolute best efforts to understand, the reasons behind our pain remain a total mystery. And the challenge is to just accept that mystery while still trusting in God's ultimate care.
So let's tie this all together. Judaism completely rejects original sin and instead hands you the profound, heavy gift of free will. We know suffering is out there, whether it's from man-made choices, natural disasters, or reasons we simply can't fathom. Ultimately, for you, this isn't just about passing your GCSE. It's about how you navigate life. With the power of free will literally in your hands, how will you choose to use your Yetzer HaTov? How are you going to respond to the suffering in the world around you? I hope this explainer hasn't just helped your revision, but actually gave you something real to think about. Good luck with the studying, keep asking those big questions, and we'll see you in the next one.